Hey everyone,
What's
Nigel
up?
and Luke here, and welcome to Crime Zone.
Roof man.
At around 5:30 a.m. on May
That's a horrible
20th,
name.
2000, employees at the Main Street McDonald's location in Belmont, North Carolina, were following their usual Saturday morning routine.
What if
McDonald's?
Wasn't of Irish/Scottish descent, and it was instead British.
it was just Donald's?
Would you think you would eat at Donald's if it was Donald's and not McDonald's?
Instead of the golden M, and if it was a golden D?
I don't think I mean McDonald's.
It was just before sunrise, and they were preparing to open the fast food restaurant for the normal weekend breakfast rush. However, unbeknownst to the employees, at the same time as they were busy working to get ready for their first customers of the day, another person was in the midst of a different kind of routine.
Dun, dun,
One
dun.
that involved stealing as much money from the restaurant's cash register and safe as possible.
Alright, the plot twist that is coming up,
Has to be gnarly.
because he just told us a plot twist. He's like, quiet, nice little story about McDonald's.
And somebody's gonna rob it.
And he hasn't even got to the climax of the story yet.
So like, the way the robbery occurs has to be wild.
After cutting a small hole in the roof of the McDonald's, the masked robber dropped down through the ceiling, taking all of the employees by surprise.
Like he's Batman,
Though
dog.
he was armed with a rifle, he didn't try to threaten anyone. Instead, he was calm and cordial, asking the employees
He's
to
a
please
straight
get
up
down on the
supervillain.
ground.
Everybody, please, just get on the ground. Please, just get on the ground. I won't have to blow this at anybody. So just please get on the ground. Ma'am, please. I know, I get it. I'm sorry. Just please get on the ground.
While he escorted one of them to the restaurant safe to open it for him so
I
that
don't
he
know if
could
I'm
take the
getting on
money
ground. I don't know
inside.
if I am.
Once he had the cash, the masked robber walked all of the employees into the cooler where they were locked inside. But not before
That's
they
crazy,
were asked
bro.
if they wanted to grab their coats to stay warm while they waited for help to arrive.
Hey, y'all want to grab your coats? You might be in there for a little while. I'm not going to call the police for you. Yeah.
After that,
This is a crime of passion.
He's not in it for the money.
He's in it for the passion of the art of robbing.
That is wild. It's totally wild.
masked man fled. While the employees didn't know it at the time, they would soon learn that they had come face to face with one of the country's most notorious fast food robbers. A man whose criminal exploits would eventually become so strange and unbelievable, they would seem ridiculous even by the standards
No, for
of a
sure.
Hollywood
He's
movie.
like Heisenberg.
This is the story of Jeffrey Allen Manchester.
This guy's an evil genius. You can't call him roof man?
The so-called roof man, or rooftop robber. While little is known about why Jeffrey Allen Manchester chose to turn to a life of crime, what we do know is that before he became the notorious robber known as Roof Man, he lived what appeared to be a normal life. After graduating from Cordova High School in Rancho Cordova, California in 1991, Manchester became a sergeant
Yeah.
in the Army Reserves.
Makes sense. He's gonna copy with his
in a number of
style.
different areas.
He's definitely got some training.
Training at Fort Bragg in North Carolina, and air assault training at Fort Campbell in Kentucky, and was further trained as an artillery specialist.
He looks just like Ferb from Phineas and Ferb.
That he took several courses
Just like
involving
Ferb,
the
dog.
operation of military vehicles, including a 6-week
Who do you think
course
his Phineas
to become
is?
a watercraft operator at Fort Eustis in Virginia. Though during this time, Manchester married and had 2 children, the marriage didn't last. And by the end of 1998, he and his wife
How does
were in
that
the process
conversation
of
go?
getting
How do you
divorced.
break up with an evil
He
genius?
no longer lived with her.
You're leaving me? Yes, John. You have no money, and you don't have a real job, and you think this army thing is cutting it, but you're in the reserves, buddy, and they don't get paid that well. Alright, fine. After you leave, I'm just gonna go get rich then. Doing what? Oh, I'm gonna rob every single McDonald's in the entire United States of America. John, get the fuck out. Just get your shit and get the fuck out.
No,
Now
facts.
alone, it was at
How does
this
that
point
conversation
that he
go?
apparently
How do you,
decided
like-
to put his military training to
What
a
if he was
different
already
kind of
robbing
use.
McDonald's and she was like, I can't
In
put up with the
November of
McDonald's robbing
1998,
anymore?
Manchester began
No.
a 1.5-year-long crime spree.
She found out,
that would
she was like,
allegedly
what is this
see him
bag of
rob
tools,
more
John?
than 40
Were
businesses
you at that
in 9
McDonald's?
different states across the continental U.S.
40
The
businesses.
occasional video rental store, grocery store, or other retail business, his specialty became robbing McDonald's locations. Police would later estimate that these crimes comprised roughly 2/3 of all the robberies Manchester committed between 1998 and 2000. A representative from the fast
Just
food company
McDonald's. Purely
would even
McDonald's.
once jokingly refer to Manchester as being, quote, brand loyal. While the bulk of Manchester's robberies
wild,
were
bro.
committed in California, he would eventually hit McDonald's locations in Nevada, Oregon, Minnesota, Massachusetts, Maryland, Virginia, and both of the Carolinas, making off
That's
with an
crazy.
estimated
This is
$100,000.
Dr. Doofenshmirtz.
Nearly all of the robberies went like this.
So he robbed 40 restaurants. 40 restaurants.
In a year and a half.
For 100 bands.
That's like $2,500 a restaurant. You get 15 years every single time you get caught. If he was there for the money, he'd be doing the same thing at jewelry stores. He'd be waiting till everybody left.
And drilling a hole in the top. And dropping down like James Bond. Swinging from a rope. Stealing everything off display case.
He loves robbing McDonald's. It just, man's crazy.
Manchester would use tools to cut a hole in the roof of the location, dropping down anywhere from 10 to 15 feet before rounding up the employees, stealing the restaurant's cash, and leaving them locked in the
How did they not hear him cutting a hole in the roof?
Strangely, almost everyone noted that he was exceptionally polite and apologetic towards employees during the robberies. In some cases, even joking around with them.
What if the army put him up to that?
He
What if it was like a
reported
secret,
to
like a
approve
secret
employees
operation?
before locking them up.
McDonald's robbing.
Hey, at least you get the rest of the day off.
I mean, at least you get the rest of the day off, am I right?
Though there were occasionally slight variations to Manchester's robberies, such as him cutting a hole in one of the restaurant's walls instead of the roof, most of the crimes were nearly identical. And aside from one incident where he pistol whipped an employee, it appears that he almost never used violence while committing the robberies. Because of this, it was fairly easy for authorities to attribute
How do you
unusual
rob
crimes
40
to the
McDonald's
same
and never
person.
pull a trigger?
However, identifying and catching that person turned out to be far more difficult. As such, for nearly 2 years, Jeffrey Manchester was known only as Roof Man or the Rooftop Robber, gaining notoriety
That's
across
such a
the
bad
country.
name. Like, every time he says the word roof man, it just makes me want to, like, click off the video.
You gotta call him something else. Kitty, please be the Hamburglar.
He's gotta be the Hamburglar.
Get rid of this roof man shit, dog. He is the real-life Hamburglar.
And frustrating more than 24 police forces as he continued to commit robbery after robbery without being caught.
You're telling me that he drilled a hole in the roof, dropped down, was very polite the whole time, and then locked you guys in the freezer? Is that what I'm hearing? Yes, sir. That is exactly what happened. Yeah, it's our rooftop man. What the fuck is a rooftop man? Actually, you guys are the 37th McDonald's this year.
The key to the Roofman's crimes was the routine. While most criminals would likely think twice about committing the same sort of crime over and over, Manchester knew
Except
that
for
each
pros.
McDonald's restaurant he hit would operate the same way and have the same basic floor plan. Things were always roughly in the same place, and the restaurants ran on almost identical schedules,
I mean, that's
allowing
smart.
Manchester
It's
to
definitely
hit them
thought out,
at their
like-
most vulnerable times, either while they were closing up for the night or while they were opening up first thing in the morning. That being said, not all of the Roofman's crimes were perfect. During his very first attempt at robbing a McDonald's in Folsom, California, he cut a hole in the roof and dropped inside, only to discover that the restaurant was closed for the Thanksgiving holiday. Sometimes, police would find tool marks on the exterior of locations where the Roofman had
How did he
obviously
not know it was
started a robbery,
Thanksgiving?
but
That's
had
how you know
needed
this
to
dude's
abandon his
crazy,
attempt
because he
for
doesn't
one
even know it's
reason or another.
Thanksgiving.
There were also a fair number of close calls with police.
Completely
In
checked
one
out of
instance,
society.
Manchester needed to fire his gun at a door to make a last-second escape. In another, he reportedly jumped off a roof and over a fence before managing to get away on foot. The roofman would finally be identified and caught on May 20th, 2000,
Roofman. See, I
shortly
can't
after
take it
committing the
serious.
early morning robbery
Hamburglar.
at the Main
The
Street
Hamburglar.
McDonald's in Belmont, North Carolina,
Got some
that we
skin
described
set
at the
with your
beginning
chest,
of the video. It turned out that Manchester had made two crucial mistakes.
McDonald's. Gotcha.
The first
Talking about
mistake
McDonald's.
was the result of hubris. The Main Street McDonald's was actually the second one that he had robbed that day. Just a few hours earlier, Manchester had robbed another
Two in one
McDonald's
day is
just
crazy,
10
bro. You
miles
get
away in
ballsy.
Gastonia.
He's trying to make
as
it
they
more
were
fun,
closing for the
exciting
night.
for him.
Because authorities were more than familiar with the roofman's MO by this point, there was still a heavy police presence in the area at the time of the second robbery. Manchester's second mistake was not properly securing the cooler at the Belmont robbery. As a result, the employees managed to get out much quicker than he had anticipated and alerted police.
The police
to
are
the
already
second
looking for him. They get out,
spotted
call the
heading
police
towards a
fast,
getaway
and
car
so they
in a
get there
nearby
quick
church
because they're
parking
already
lot.
looking for him.
Police chased
It's not a
Manchester
surprise.
into the woods. When they caught up to him a short time later, he was still carrying his rifle, as well as a nylon bag containing drills, pry tools, hammers,
Says he only had
and all the cash he
$7,000
had
on
stolen
him.
from the two McDonald's locations.
He has
True
a
to his
$1 million
reputation,
bond, and he only
Manchester
stole 7
didn't
vans.
put up a fight when cornered by officers, instead telling them, quote, "You guys did a really good job today." With Manchester's arrest came a flurry of news articles announcing
That's
that the
crazy.
notorious roofman had been identified and caught. According to these reports,
Roofman.
investigators were eventually able to
That's
link him to
crazy,
crimes beyond just the two robberies in North Carolina by looking at his travel records with the military. It turned out that many of the roofman's robberies had stopped in certain states when he left, only to start in others just as he arrived for military assignments or training exercises.
I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist.
It's kind of weird that he was sneaking out of his training every single night to go rob all these McDonald's, and his
People in charge of him at military land
didn't know he was leaving every night to go stake out a McDonald's. How do y'all not know he's outside robbing these McDonald's? It's got to be a military operation.
to see who can rob the most McDonald's.
Maybe I feel like it's more complicated than that, but you know what I'm talking about.
Though it's
Military
unclear
operation.
just how many of these robberies Manchester was convicted of,
Training
he was
exercises.
ultimately sentenced to 45 years in prison on charges ranging from robbery with a dangerous
for
weapon to
$7,000.
kidnapping, possession of burglary tools, and breaking and entering.
He ain't doing that for the money.
While this initially appeared to be the end of the roofman, little did anyone know that his story was far from over.
Dun dun dun, I'm telling you.
He's a legit evil genius, like a legitimate evil genius. I don't even know what else to say. He's literally Dr. Doofenshmirtz, but he looks just like Ferb, confirming that Dr. Doofenshmirtz is Ferb's dad. You heard it here first, folks. But I'm gonna see you like in a couple days when we do part 2, and I'm gonna see you tomorrow as well. So you should subscribe because I do this every single day. But peace out.
Bro, I don't know if anybody's told you, like, today, but you're a butthole. Besides, Katara liked me.